Hi, my name is Stephanie Willis, and I'm doing a career profile for Family 150, Section 2. And the career I chose to do was an adoption agency or caseworker. And I didn't know anyone in this field, and so I chose to do a search online. And I found that the working environment for an adoption caseworker is mainly travel. You go to the houses of the families that are adopting children and do interviews with them, make sure the situation is good for children to go into. You also work with the parents of children who are being adopted, and you work with the children, obviously, going into the families. You also work in the office and make sure that the paperwork is good and goes through all the right systems and has to be very organized, and you have to get a lot of the paperwork done for each case. And one of the places I found that I would like to work at is called Active Love Adoptions. It's a smaller agency out of Utah, and it deals with the birth parents more, or the birth moms, and helping through the process of adopting their child out. And some of the typical stressors that I found were obviously working in difficult situations where parents have to give their children up for adoption, or dealing with kids who might have depression from being adopted, but there's also a lot of happy stories where parents are getting to adopt a child that they wouldn't be able to have otherwise. And also a stressor was the paperwork. Again, being in the office and getting through all the paperwork that you need to. Typical benefits, I couldn't really find any specific to being a adoption agency worker. It depended on the agency and if they gave you any benefits from working there with them, depending on if it was a large or a small company. Common job tasks were, first of all, the paperwork. You had to get all of that in and make sure that you had all the interviews lined up for things like that, and you had to travel to all of the homes, either the birth parents' home or the families who were adopting a child. You had to also provide post-placement reports. So after the child was put into a home, you go and visit with them and make sure that the situation is still good and everyone is accepting of the new lifestyle. Education requirements were mainly a bachelor's degree was the minimum. A lot of places like you to have more than a bachelor's degree, like a master's or a doctorate, and if you didn't have those, they would like you to have work experience before you came in most of the time. So I recommend that either you get a master's later on, or you get a lot of work experience with lower level jobs first, and then you can maybe get a job in one of these. The starting salary range I found was around $30,000 for a bachelor's degree, and the experience salary range could go up to around $60,000 if you had a master's, but if you just had a bachelor's degree, it still remained around like $42,000. Miscellaneous career information was basically just people who I looked up that really liked working in agencies, and more smaller agencies had people who really loved their job and loved what they did for a living, and so that's why I wanted to be an adoption agency worker, to work with children and be able to place them into families that will love them and take care of them. That's my career profile.